Tell me a bit about the experience working on MBV with My Bloody Valentine.
That was, definitely unique on a lot of levels. It was an album that Kevin had been working on sort of on and off for a while. So I came in at a point where a lot of the work, it was kind of half done, the records. And it was mainly actually kind of bits of guitar and vocals and sort of finishing off that we were doing, and then the mixing. The interesting thing about the record is, one of the many interesting things is that it's completely analog, which is quite rare in itself because, a lot of stuff, even if it is analog, it gets digitized at mastering even if you've printed analog mixes, I don't think that many people now go to the trouble of what you have to do to make the final record analog, which is to make a production master and then go and get it cut, where they've got something called a look-ahead tape machine, which is what you have to use in order to actually cut analog. That was interesting in terms of just the mastering, but the thing about the recording was that Kevin had sort of tracked different sections of the same songs on different pieces of 2-inch tape. So you'd have like a verse to a song on one tape, and then you'd have the chorus on a different tape. If we'd gone into Pro Tools at some point, that would have been pretty simple. You just printed them in and then cut them together. But again, for various reasons, it wasn't feasible to cut like the multi-tracks together to make the final versions. So they had to kind of stay separate. So what we were doing was kind of working on different sections of the song on different pieces of tape. It wasn't until the mix that they were put together, that they were finally edited together. And how we had to do, obviously the only way to do that was to print different sections onto 1/2-inch and then cut the 1/2-inch together. We obviously made a digital version first. So we were printing the mixes printing the mixes into the computer. We had a computer set up to do that, so that we could almost check the edits and check that the stuff was going to flow, and that the mixes were going to work, and that everything was kind of working. But then at the end of it, I just had this huge kind of reels and reels of just different sections of tape all labeled up. Because I didn't cut the tape together during the mix. We just left that as a job to do afterwards. So it was slightly nerve-wracking seeing this growing kind of stack of tape, kind of of all the different sections of the album. And then a few weeks afterwards, I had to just sit there and cut them all together. Fortunately, I managed to label them, so so I knew what all the bits were. But it was it was an unusual job, a little bit nerve-wracking at points. Kevin he just makes you do stuff that nobody else would. He kind of has a vision, and he's just willing to kind of go the extra mile in order to have the vision completed. So, you end up doing these kind of things that it's just nobody, on any other session, just, somebody would be just, oh, we'll just do it the easy way. But he never wants to do it the easy way. Partly why the album had ended up on different pieces of tape is that he wanted really free and almost improvised arrangements. So he kind of played different sections, messed around with the number of repetitions of different chords and created different shapes on different pieces of tape. And he didn't want to fall into just making a really neat structure early on in the process. And actually, that's something I've really kind of taken from working on that album, is trying to kind of make pop music freer in terms of structure and arrangement, and maybe not get too locked into the standard 8-16 bar patterns that and 4/4, 4/4 timing that sometimes just feels a bit done.